What up, everyone? This is Shorty Logic Podcast. I am Shorty Logic, and here are my other two hosts. Introduce yourselves.
What's good, everybody? Miss Sugar in the building. Y'all know what it is.
How y'all doing? It's blessed. Hope everybody's doing good tonight.
Well, y'all, we're going to come back. We every week we come with another hitter, and we got a good conversation. Gonna get real deep into this one. It's gonna be uncomfortable for a lot of parents, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. So we can go ahead and introduce and reveal the topic of the night.
Welcome to the Shorty Logic Podcast Topic Night. Tonight, we're diving into an important subject, the importance of having the sex talk with your children.
Well, with that being said, before we go into any other videos, I'd like to see what your input was about the topic for tonight. Start.
Let's see. The importance of having the sex talk with your kids. Well, first of all, it's very important because one thing you don't want them to do is go out there and start listening to other children that have not had the talk. Because what's going to happen is they're going to get a false false narrative of what sex is and giving their body away just because the other friends is doing it, and you don't want your children out here having sex because other kids are doing it. I know. I feel like all of us probably had that situation when we were younger, getting our virginity taken at certain ages we probably shouldn't have because it was a cool thing to do and other people were doing it. That's what we were talking about back when I was younger. Oh, well, such and such is going to high school and they a virgin or whatever. It was not cool to be a virgin when I was growing up. So I don't know how it is nowadays with these new kids and new generation, but it was a situation back then to where you had to have sex to be cool. It was a cool thing. And I wish I would have known something different growing up. I wish I would have been talked to about sex because I was one of those children that was not talked to. So at a certain age, I was like, hey, my friends is all doing it and I'm the outcast, so I'm going to do it because they doing it. I wish I could take that back. So I think it's very important of having that talk with your kids and let them know it's okay to say no. It's okay if you're not ready. Some children need to hear that. All children need to hear that.
Right.
And that's my outlook on it. I feel like it's very important to talk to your children about stuff, especially sex. Don't let the streets teach them what you should have taught them at home. That's when you get these 14-year-old mothers out here.
Yes, Lord.
Yes. I totally agree with that. What you got, Miss Suge?
I think the conversation of talking about sex with your kids is extremely important because you need to let them know that one, they're in control of their own bodies, their minds, everything. So when you don't take the initiative as a parent to have that conversation, no matter how uncomfortable it is, we want to break the cycles and allow them to understand that they have the narrative to controlling their bodies. Nobody else do. Because it's like Ms. Blair said, if you don't have that conversation, you're allowing their peers the opportunity to give them a false narrative of what it means when you do step over the threshold into talking about sex, someone attempting to have sex with you. It leads to a lot of things that if you don't give them the education on it, there's a lot of kids out here that feel like they're obligated to have sex just because, like you said, it's the thing to do. It's a trend, and that's not good for them to look at it in that way. Say, okay, because my friend's doing it, I should do it too. Because my homegirl, my homeboy's doing it, I should do it too. You have the power to control what happens to your body, and that is that helps them with a lot of things because we have so much going on out here today with rape and sexuality and everything else. And so if they don't feel like they own their own bodies, they own their own choice, that's scary for them. That's scary.
I can see that.
That's scary for them. Them not having just to have the thought to say, I have the right to control this situation at the moment. Because some kids feel like they don't have a choice. Right. Some kids really don't think they have a choice with their own bodies, and that's sad. And I don't know, like, if people are aware of this, but it's like anywhere from, and these are facts, between 20 and 38% of parents do not have the conversation with their kids about sex.
True.
And that 20 to 38% has the power to affect the other half that has had that talk. if they're not strong and confident enough in that conversation, or to even bring that conversation up with you, those are the ones that can affect the ones that did have those conversations, because they might overpower the conversation and make them feel like it's okay to have unprotected sex, to have sex at all. Just like girls going to parties or hanging with their friends, and they go in, they hang at the parents' houses that's not home. A boy comes to them and they like that boy, and they feel like, oh, you know, well, if I do this, then he'll like me. It'll change the narrative of all that. Just having the conversation and making your kids feel confident that when that time occurs, they know how to say no.
Exactly.
Or if they're at the age, because some of them do start young, like in their early teens, at least give them the tools they need, like teaching them about condoms, teaching them about safe sex and things like that, so they'll know a girl has a right to ask where's the protection is, just like if a guy does not have it. If a boy is trying to talk to you and he don't have protection, you have the right to say, I'm not doing this without protection.
Exactly. And it's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no.
I think a lot of parents fear that if they have the conversation, that they're putting in their mind that they should be having sex.
They're promoting
No.
it.
Yeah. And that's not the case. Just like years and years ago, during my era, we had sex education in the schools. We don't have that in the schools no more. So that makes it even more extensive for us as parents to teach our kids about it, educate them.
For sure.
Yeah, and then, you know, the average kid, no matter boy or girl, it shows that the data shows that they are curious around 8 or 9 years old, and so that's around the time they get curious and they want to bring that conversation to you. You need to know it's different. When I find out there's different stages and different where you can explain certain stuff at different ages. You know, but you got to have that. You got to have that conversation, like Ms. Bliss said. You know, because most kids they got the internet now. It's accessible to their phone, so they around 8 or 9 years old, they are being exposed to porn.
Exactly.
Cartoons ain't even the same no more.
Thank you. Everything is over sexualized. Everything from the cartoons to the shows we watch on TVs. And then parents need to stop watching all these grown shows in the room with their children too. All kinds of anything, sex scenes and all that type of stuff. I don't care if your child was, because most people say, oh, they're just 2, they're 3, they're not paying attention. Yes, they are. Watch how your child start playing with their toys.
Depending on the internet to raise their kids.
Exactly. And it's not okay. It's not okay. No. Watch how your children start playing with their toys.
Yes.
And it may sound crazy, but it's true.
Yes. It's like playing house. Let's play house. I'm the daddy.
Yes.
Mama.
Yes. No. Yes. They're getting it from somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. So instead of them getting from other people, they should get it from people who they trust, meaning their mother, their father, or whoever their guardian is. So we're going with the first video.
Never any explanation. I grew up in a family where the word sex was never said. There was never any explanation of anything.
Get rid of this idea of the talk, quotation marks, and replace it with multiple age-appropriate conversations. So at age 2 or 3, what does that look like? Oh, that's your penis. That's a private part. Remember, nobody else can touch your private parts. These are little conversations we're having, and that they build. And we want to be frequent and frank with our tone of voice. And we want to be medical and matter of fact when we're talking about bodies and body parts, and body boundaries.
And also removing the shame around our body parts. And it's so interesting to me because we tend to create funny, silly words for like the penis and the vagina, but yet we don't create those words for ears or nose, right? Like it's always the private parts.
Lack of information doesn't mean an increase in innocence. Don't equate innocence with ignorance. And so that's what we want parents to know, is that actually ignorance is vulnerability. Then they're vulnerable to hearing those messages and assuming that's the right thing to hear. Like people were so surprised that they could do this before the hormones kicked in, before it was an awkward conversation. They could just slip in conversations about seeds and eggs and body parts and safety, and not all at one sitting, but drip, drip, drip into their childhood.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Me too.
Like I said, there's different stages.
Age appropriate conversation.
Yes, everything. Yes, and this thing I just seen, like most parents like, just afraid to talk to, you know what I'm saying? Because my grandfather and his 7 brothers, only thing my granddad said, you do this, you get her pregnant. They do what you gotta do, and then his brothers, all they did is gave me condoms.
Yeah, you didn't have to
I
talk.
didn't have the sex talk. I learned a lot. I was that kid that, one, I was a loner when I was very young, but as I progressed, got older, of course, I had friends and things like that. But I learned thank God, I learned what not to do from my peers and from, my siblings and stuff like that, because I was always that kid that, oh, you got in trouble for this, so that's what I'm not going to do.
Right.
Are you sneaking out of the house at night to meet with a boy? That's what I'm not going to do. Like, that was just the way I functioned. Thank goodness that was the way I functioned. But even still in hand through abuse and stuff like that, I didn't understand my body. Like, I didn't understand, everything about my body. And it's true. You can have that conversation with, like, a lot of little girls when they're young, they tell them, oh, that's your pocketbook. That's your hot pocket.
Like
don't nobody, don't nobody supposed to touch your hot pocket or your pocketbook and stuff like that. Using the wrong language can confuse kids. What people don't understand is, you thinking when she said 2 or 3, believe it or not, kids are curious about that too. It's like you give little boys bath and they start touching themselves. They want to know what it is, why that's there. Sometimes it's just a natural thing in kids as they progress and get older, and then they don't understand it.
Right.
And that's very true. Very true.
And like I said,
go ahead.
Now, like I said, now we come into the age now that everything is so accessible now. Every single thing. Like we in a digital world, so everything by the phone. You can see everything. So and that's why, like, on my son's tablet, he has anything that he's trying to, like, any games, anything, it'll come to my phone. I have to approve it or not. If he on YouTube, he can only go to certain things. I can see it alarms me what he going to something else, like
parental controls.
Yeah, that's all I do. All that shit, So because like he tries to get on TikTok, I don't want him in that TikTok mess. No.
Right.
No.
I still monitor, like, cartoons and stuff that my grandson will watch or that my nieces watch, stuff like that. I'm that old school. I'm that old school granny. I'm the old school auntie. So it's like they looking at me like, well, why are you so upset about that? And I'll explain to them why I'm so upset about it. It's like you can't get on a child or take something from them and just not explain why and the reason, because when you do that, they don't understand that until you explain to them. Even if they get in trouble about something, they don't know the why, then they're going to continue to do it, or they're going to try to do it again, because you didn't explain it to them exactly what it is and the rhyme and reason of why it happened and why you're doing it.
Exactly, because when you tell a child no, it just makes them more curious if you don't explain why you're telling them.
That is facts.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because they sponges. When they come into this world, they are not some people expect kids when they come into this world to automatically know stuff that they're supposed to do.
No.
Like they're supposed to automatically wake up one day and start reading. They're supposed to automatically wake up one day and they're done with the passing out. They're done with this, like different stuff, different stages that kids go through, everything, regardless, from 1 to 3, 1 on up. You have to teach them. If you do not teach them, they will not understand it. They will not learn. And what they're going to do is when they progress and get older, they're going to go out on the street and look for it and try to figure out what it is.
Figure it out on their own.
And the crazy part about it is we have to bond to what they watch, but it's today is so hard because even cartoons is corrupted.
True. Absolutely, but it doesn't mean it can't be done, because there's plenty of shows out there that if you do the research, you'll find shows that cater to this age group that does not contain this and that. But some people have gotten really lazy with parenting. I understand that there's parents out here that's working these long shifts. They just trying to provide. They're just trying to make it through, push through. But don't let that discredit you as a parent. Right. In order to change the cycles of things that we experience, we have to teach them new habits.
Right, for sure.
Facts. Healthy habits at that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very true.
Agree.
Because it just, hey, I just say this here, like him. Luckily, you know what I mean, I try to, you know, monitor everything he watch or what he do. I try to keep him off the tablet now, start, you know, doing writing his ABCs and stuff, which he's doing pretty good with that, you know.
Yeah.
That I try to do that way. Then I try to keep him getting him outside too when I get him outside. Instead of looking at the TV.
And that's the thing right there. Keeping them out of the house and off electronics. Make them do what we used to do when we was growing up. When we was growing up, we didn't depend on phones and electronics. We went outside, we played. My grandmother would put me outside after school after I did my homework. It was like, play till the lights come on. Don't come back in this house unless you got.
And see, that's the problem. That's the problem now, because you know, we cried, we gotta go in.
Exactly.
Right. They cry, they gotta go out.
Right. Right. Yep. It's like, shoot. And I ain't gonna lie. You know what? Being outside a lot when I was younger, playing, just figuring it out, gave me a lot of common sense. Because some kids can have so much book sense and not have a lick of common sense.
A drop of common sense.
Right.
And then the parents get frustrated because they don't have no common sense. And you're like, well, you should just know that. No. How are they just going to know that? They don't know that unless you teach them or unless you put them out there and learn how to figure some things out for themselves. But as long as you got them stuck under cartoons, TV, 24 hours a day, or either 6 hours when they home from school or what, you know, whatever the case may be, they're not learning shit.
Ain't learning nothing. Don't know a damn thing. Because I'm telling you, ever just look at your child sideways and be like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah,
because we had to get out here and get it and learn it, and we wasn't lazy. We actually went out and rode, and back then it was safe too, because I can go out and we'll walk. I started the beginning of
teach us about stranger danger and everything.
Everything stranger.
Everything.
We knew everything, who not to talk to, what to do. When we traveled in packs. When it was me, my cousin, it'd be 4, 5 of us walking down the street until them lights came on, and we'd be in a pack. We might be 40 blocks up on side of the world, but we knew to get back on that porch by a certain time. But we was all over the city. I mean,
I was a latchkey kid when I was younger.
You said what?
When I was in elementary school, I was a latchkey kid. My mom worked 2 jobs to pay bills, so most of the time I would be home by myself. I was taught how to come home. She taught me, come home, do my homework, get my clothes ready for the next day. She had dinner already pre-prepared. I would come in with a key by myself, walking home from school, from elementary. I used to catch public transportation bus. My mom had it set up to where the bus drivers, the regular bus drivers, they knew. They'd be looking for me coming down that street. I hop on that public transportation bus, connect to the next one, go to school. I would catch both of them back. They would be the same bus drivers on their route. This was public transportation, not school bus, you know. So I was very independent, very young.
Right. And then growing up, then we also had to always take care of our younger cousins or younger siblings. So that was our responsibility. You're the oldest one. You got 3, 4 cousins underneath you. Make sure I don't care if you're putting on some hot dogs, make sure everything's clean, make sure the dishes is washed, make sure you get them bathed. You know, we had to do a lot of responsibilities.
We did, which made us grow up fast.
And I think that I can be wrong, but sometimes I think that was a wrong thing to do too, because I feel like it was it was I don't know what word to say it, but it's just wrong because you'll tell a kid stand in a kid's space, but you keep putting them in,
but you treat them like an adult.
Yeah,
treat them like an adult.
You put them in an adult position.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, a lot of us had to grow up real fast, but it's due to we got put in an adult position, which I think that was wrong, because you should let a kid be a kid as long as possible.
And that's the problem. We missed our childhood because so many parents back then was wanting to run wild, and they were still going out. And a lot of them was, they was working and doing other things they wanted to do and whatever they had to do. And then it was like, but they were steadily having all these children, but they was dependent on their older children to raise their children. So then when you wanted to be a child and go out and play, you had limited time because been in the house most of the day doing your homework and taking care of children. So then when you say something slick, it was like stay in the child's place. But I've been doing your job all day, and I don't have to
take you out of it and put you back when it was for them.
Generation.
when it's convenient for them, then you need to be
Yes.
quiet and do as
Yeah.
I say. Don't do as I do as I say. And that goes back to a show we did a while back where we always are told to be quiet and just listen and just do this and do that. And it's like, damn, who are we? What is our identity? Are we their parents?
Exactly.
Are you our parents? Like, what is it that we
And
supposed
then
to be?
and then let's say that get passed down the generation, so the next
Exactly.
generation doing the same thing. But I also heard this thing saying each generation should do better than the last generation.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
So just because even I'm working through that. Just because my mom and my dad did this, so I hate them for this. So I'm putting that same pain on my son. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You shouldn't do that.
You definitely shouldn't do that.
No.
But sometimes it works in the opposite direction because I didn't want my children to go through what I went through. So
Right.
I basically spoiled them too much because I didn't want them to go through what I went through. So I was like, okay, y'all don't have to do anything. Growing up, I did everything. I cleaned, I cooked, I did everything. They didn't have to do anything. So then as they got older, it was like, damn, they got used to it.
I know it's hard, but at some point, especially with this generation, you
Mhm.
have to at least attempt to learn a balance.
Exactly.
A
You're right.
balance.
You're right. And that's
It's
where I know I
a
made my
necessity.
mistake at. Balance.
Yeah.
I should have balanced it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this next video. This video it has several different parts in it, so it's 1 minute and 49 seconds. So we're gonna talk about all the parts.
Okay.
Talking to kids about sex is important. It helps them stay safe and make good choices. Many parents feel nervous about this talk, but it is a crucial part of parenting. Open communication about sex can help your children grow into responsible young adults. It is better to learn about sex from a trusted adult than from friends or the internet. When parents avoid the topic, kids may get wrong information or feel too shy to ask questions. Don't worry, you don't have to cover everything at once. Start small and have age-appropriate conversations over time. Teen pregnancy and STDs are real concerns. The statistics show why the sex talk is so important. In the US, about insert current statistic, teenagers become pregnant each year. STDs are also a serious issue among young people. These infections can have long-term health consequences. Talking openly about sex can help teens understand the risks and responsibilities involved. Parents often worry about saying the wrong thing. They fear their kids will be embarrassed or stop listening. Remember, talking about sex is a sign of love and care. You are protecting your child by giving them accurate information. Choose a comfortable time and place to talk. Be honest and open with your child. Start by asking your child what they already know about sex. Listen carefully to their answers and correct any misinformation. Answer their questions honestly and directly. Use simple language they can understand. Talk about your values and expectations regarding sex. Explain the importance of respect, consent, and healthy relationships. Let your child know they can always come to you with questions. Keep the lines of communication open.
And there's a lot of things that we talked about. That's another thing. STDs is at an all-time high.
Oh.
And I feel like it is crazy how there's teenagers out here that are having sex, catching STDs, and they act like it's regular because there is a shot that they can get or something like that. You don't ever want to be in a position to catch any type of STD.
Right.
That can affect your body in so many different ways.
So many different ways.
Make you
Yeah.
stir. You can do all kind of stuff.
But it's crazy. It is crazy when I found this out. I just found this out. Y'all know teen pregnancy is the highest it's ever been in history.
I believe it.
Yeah. Because it's
I
cool to
totally
have
believe it.
sex.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I know people that don't use condoms, get diseases, and turn around, cure it, and do it again with the same person. I'm like, are you crazy? Are you crazy?
Right.
Like, it's cool. I've never
Yeah.
seen it in my life that it's cool. I've never seen a lot of things back in our day. I'm not saying anything's wrong with dating whoever you date, but back then we didn't talk about that, and it was things that was undercover that we didn't make we didn't bring it out in the streets the way they do today.
They
Like,
bring it out.
Right. They're just
It's
so open with everything.
cool, and it's so open with everything. And I'm not saying not be who you are. I'm not saying not love who you love. That's your prerogative. What I'm saying is, do we have to put it in the cartoons? Do we have to let children, babies, see this type of stuff all day, every day? Why?
Send
Why?
baby books now.
I mean, come on, like baby books?
It's
Like
in books in elementary school.
in elementary
They
school.
have books about finding your identity and stuff like. They so concerned with the wrong things. They promote the wrong things now, and there's a lot of parents out there that are fighting against these certain books and stuff in school. So it's like it's insane to me. Like I seen a clip where they had on Mickey Mouse, where Mickey Mouse was in this factory and he was making cheese, and where he would, like, if you see him, it was like he was erected, and that's what he was using to put holes in the cheese.
Oh my God.
And these are things that people didn't even pay attention to back then. This is an old clip of Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, that's why you have to be the most valuable, the MVP. You have to be the MVP in your children's lives.
Right.
Absolutely. But they
It's a
said back in the
necessity
day,
that you
Walt
do.
Disney, they said Walt Disney actually got in trouble for being a pedophile. So they said it's a lot of hidden pedophilia type situations in his cartoons going all the way back.
Yeah.
When it was in
I'm
black
not
and white.
gonna bring his name up because it might get me canceled.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
But
Cartoons.
he was gonna blow the whistle on Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one reason why he's locked up.
I believe a lot of things is going on. I mean, but that's been that's been on forever for news. It's been talked ever about that Disney thing. Mm-hmm. So it's just like crazy. Look at all the kids that was growing up on those shows that all had been touched. They coming out now and talking about they were being touched on the regular. All those shows back in the day. Almost every child is talking about the same thing, all being passed around and being touched. I'm like, damn, right under your parents' noses, everybody's noses. It was all happening like it was nothing.
And then I want to say this, like, especially towards the video, one of the things that I do agree with, and I think some parents can be getting wrong. They just straight come in and just want to talk about this. I agree. You should ask the child, what do they already know?
Oh yeah, I agree with that too.
And actual listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah. Absolutely, because not only can they tell you what they already think they know, they could possibly tell you, if you just make them comfortable enough to talk to you, they could probably tell you why they think it, who taught it to them, and then you might find out some other things that maybe you may not want to know, but it's something you should know, and it needs to be talked about, because at the end of the day, that's why we keep continuing with this cycle, and these children are the way they are. Because we're not having that hard conversation, even if it's something that you don't want to know, you don't want to hear, you wish you didn't know. But at the end of the day, you have to. We have to have those conversations.
Yeah, you do.
You don't have to be aggressive with the conversation.
Right.
Like, some people lose patience with their kids really easy, but I feel like you got to take a moment, take a breath to yourself, prepare yourself to have that conversation with your child, but not have it aggressively. It's a simple conversation. Things like that also give kids the tools to have a voice, to be able to express themselves to you comfortably, because you had a comfortable, you had a calming conversation with them about certain things. That's important. Look, the thing is, at the end of the day, you take the narrative of the fact that, like, maybe you experienced some things when you was younger, that should feed you to want to have that important conversation with your children, so that they can protect themselves. Teach them how to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it could be something going on right now that you need to know.
But you got to get, like I said, you got to give them that safe space so they can talk to you about it.
You got to make them comfortable and not make them feel dirty or guilty or like they're going to get in trouble for telling you.
Right. Exactly.
Big facts. But we can go ahead. We're moving right along. We can go. This video is 1 minute and 6 seconds. It might be a little low. You might can hear it. I'm not too sure.
Have you guys had the sex talk with your kids? If not, you probably should ASAP. Here's licensed therapist Karen Gwaltney with 3 reasons to do so.
Number 1, it will build their trust in you as a reliable guide. If your kid is asking questions about sex, It's time for them to learn about it from you in bite-sized conversations. Studies show that if kids feel like they can come to a parent with their questions about sex, they're more likely to delay their first sexual experience until later than kids who feel like they can't talk to their parent. Number 2, kids statistically encounter porn by age 9 in spite of parents' efforts to shield them from it. Any protective lesson you try to teach kids about porn will be less effective if you've never taught them anything about sex. And number 3, not having enough contextual information about sex while growing up is directly linked to higher rates of sexual violence. If kids have a comprehensive understanding of sex as a relational act for consenting adults, they'll be better able to establish healthy boundaries around it.
We just talked about that.
We sure did. We sure did.
Just
And I
talked.
always can never not stress this enough that no matter what you do in life, no matter who it is, no matter what, boundaries come with everything.
Sure.
Boundaries come with everything. It does
Yeah.
not matter if it's a relationship, if it's with their kids' relationships, it's a situation, it doesn't matter. Everybody has boundaries. Know your boundaries. Teach your kids boundaries. Teach your kids how to have those boundaries.
Mhm.
And and the more easier you make it, the more you approach it calmly, soothing them and letting them know, the more they will you and talk to you about stuff. I was the type of mom that I told my son, look, when you decide that this is something that you want to try, do, or whatever, come to me. I'm the parent that I will buy you the condoms.
Right.
I will buy you the condoms. I'd rather you be safe than sorry.
For sure.
And I showed my son a video about birth and everything. When he started getting it, I ain't gonna lie, I was trying to put the fairy card in him, but you know, dang, you know, I just feel like I just try to do my part. I really did. I try to do my part as a parent, and it's important that these parents do their part as well for their children.
Absolutely.
It's the best way to protect them.
The only way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
absolutely.
the only way. You just, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, you have to be that parent that's willing to listen what they need, what they want to express, and then when they start expressing to you, they'll open up to you, then you'll learn, because we still have to learn each other. You know what I'm saying? Even though we are the parent, but we still have to learn. They have to learn us. Also,
And
we have to learn them. Yeah.
Exactly.
You
I
know.
say a good idea too with smaller children is get like some boy and girl dolls, and like they do in therapy, and just ask them, let them know, show them, point and show them this is a no-no zone. And it's okay to say that this is a no-no zone. Nobody's ever allowed to do this. Period. If you feel uncomfortable, say no. Tell your parent. You have to say this. You have to say these type of things.
Yes, that's the number one way to start protecting our children out here. And it starts when they're young. That's how you start to change the dynamic of the situation.
Exactly.
I agree with that. But tonight's gonna be a little short one tonight. So this was a good conversation because I think it needs to be had. Some parents need to hear this. It might spark them to actually have that conversation with their children, or it might be something that sparked them to well, I need to come back and revisit this with them because they might have said something it might not, so we just want to give them some tools to what they need to do or what they can do. But at the end of the day, this is a very conversation that we need to have. It is uncomfortable. It will be uncomfortable, but it has to be had. That's just the fact of the matter is, because if you don't, they're just gonna be out here 10 years old, 12 years old, and just out there doing what the hell they want to do. Well, that's wrong. They don't need to be doing that. Hell, if you really can, prolong that shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
It is okay to say no, for sure.
Don't have sex until you're married.
That's right.
It sounds wonderful. It sounds wonderful. But even realistically, just not until you're ready. I mean, physically and mentally ready. Because even when you think you're physically ready, and that not necessarily mean you're mentally ready.
Because when they come with a lot of responsibility.
Yes, it comes with a lot of responsibility. Yeah, and you have to let them know that don't just believe everything people say. Just sticking a head in, you can't get pregnant. I don't know why people always walked around when I was young and said, "Oh, if you put the, if you stick the head in, you can get pregnant." It's called.
I've said it.
Yes.
I've said it.
Fool. That's a fool. See that fool?
That's
I've
the
done
oldest
it.
trick in the book.
In my younger days, I'll say, "Let's just stick the head in." You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Lord.
Horrible. And this is the prime example what you keep your damn child away from.
What you mean? I'm
Exactly.
not like that. I said that was my younger day, my teen days.
Right there. You see that over there?
Oh,
The
what?
teen days.
Oh, my teen days.
Young ladies, don't y'all be out there following for that mess stuff. Y'all be following for him talking about, let me just put the head in, because that's an old trick. That does not work. That is not safe.
Your mama has heard it. Your mama probably done heard it. It's old.
I'm telling you.
I mean, I had to realize that I had to learn sex on my own. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I had sex, before I was 13. So you learn. But I mean, I had to learn about sex just going through life. For real.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of us learn. That's how a lot of us learn.
And that was not the way to go, but I didn't have that.
Right.
So I know better now.
Oh God, you damn sure better.
If you don't, it's a problem. It's a real problem if you don't.
I'm telling you, too old now. Look, I come down and kick your ass myself.
I know.
But anyway, y'all, man, if y'all got any comments and if anybody wants questions, hit us up. Hit us. Our inbox is up, man. Hit us up. Just let us. If you got a question, just about anything, if we don't know from our experiences, we will find the answer for you. Yes.
Absolutely.
We're here. We're here to express what you don't want to express for you. So in the day, this is the Short Life Podcast, y'all. We out of here until Wednesday, ladies' night. Come on back Wednesday.
Come on back for ladies' night. It get real.
Oh yeah, it does. But we out of here, y'all. Thanks for y'all showing up. All righty, y'all. That's out of here.